before we get into like the nitty gritty shit, I do want to read this part right here, just going over the light events of the timeline of what happened leading up to it and what happened during and a bit afterwards. So I am gonna read this, so just for everybody to know like the basics of what happened. So the 18-year-old gunman who had been identified by officials had shared his let's see his identification. Salvador Ramos, him right here, had shared his plans on Facebook about 30 minutes before reaching the school. Texas Governor Abbott said a spokesperson for Meta, formerly known as Facebook, said Wednesday that these were private one-to-one text messages. Contrary to Governor Abbott's assertion, the gunman made his post on Facebook. He shot his grandmother in the face before heading to the elementary school. The 66-year-old grandmother made it to a nearby home and called police, said Texas Public Safety Department Director Stephen McCraw, adding she now remains hospitalized in critical condition. Minutes before his deadly assault at the school, the gunman allegedly sent a series of chilling text messages to a girl in Germany he met online, saying he had just shot his grandmother and was going to shoot up an elementary school, according to screenshots reviewed by CNN and an interview with the teenage girl. Ramos complained about his grandmother being on the phone with AT&T, but my phone. Okay, I don't know what the hell that word is. And then told her he had shot his grandmother in the head. The gunman drove his grandmother's vehicle about 0.29 miles, a block and a half away from Robb Elementary School. He crashed the vehicle at the point in time he exited with a backpack, took a rifle with him, and went to the west side of the campus, McCraw added. According to McCraw, a school resource officer engaged with Ramos and no gunfire was exchanged. This is when Ramos entered the school through a back door and went down the hallway to the adjoining classroom, the director said. Governor Abbott offered additional details, saying officers with the Consolidated Independent School District approached the gunman and engaged with the gunman, he said. The gunman then entered a back door and then went down two short hallways and then into a classroom on the left-hand side. According to Abbott, the gunman entered the classroom, which he was then connected internally to another classroom. But Border Patrol, Consolidated ISD officer, police, sheriffs, and DPS officers converged on that classroom, and a Border Patrol officer killed the gunman, Abbott said. Chip King, a firefighter and city council member from Uvalde, said it took about 30 minutes after he arrived on the scene for the gunman inside the school to be neutralized by law enforcement. The shooter had one rifle in his possession when he went into the school and was wearing a tactical vest carrier with no ballistic panels. There you go. So that's pretty much the bare minimum, the bare bones of what happened in this with this school shooting. So, motive. I've been looking at this, trying to look at his motive. But right now, it seemed like he was just bullied and teased, and that's the reason why he went insane and shot up the school. Now, knowing this is the information that we have. Apparently, this is his motive of doing this. Just from what we can say right now is just stop bullying kids. We need to stop bullying because hopefully something like this does not happen. And also that if you are being bullied, this is an overreaction. You should not go out and kill innocent people that have nothing to do with your bullying. Even your bullies, you need to report that to your teachers, talk to your parents, and talk to counselors. Hopefully get that sorted out, or just fight them. Fight back. I don't know. Anything is better than doing this right here. So, here's the first thing I want to talk about. There's two things. One is gun reform in this country, and number two is the police and how they handled this situation. Now, the first one, I apparently, and this has been verified by other big news outlets. He bought these weapons legally, and he bought them just after his 18th birthday, days before his assault on Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. He legally purchased 2 AR platform rifles from a federally licensed gun store on 2 days, May 17th, and just a day after his birthday. And May 20th, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, Explosives said, according to a briefing that State Senator John Whitmire, this is something that shows that people who are in bad minds, people have mentally um not in the right mental state, they can get guns way too easy in this country. And that is something that I do want to fix to try to stop this from happening again. Now, me personally, I am a very left leaning person. However, I do disagree with a lot of left leaning people. I do like guns. I don't personally own a gun. I want to go out and buy a gun and go to the shooting range and like um uh, um learn how to handle a gun with respect and know how to protect myself. That's the reason why I want it. I do like uh the Second Amendment, being people's right to bear arms. I do like that law, and yeah, that's something I disagree with a lot of left leaning people on. However, just because I believe everybody has a right to bear arms doesn't mean that I am not against more gun reform, gun regulation. Like I said, in this country, it's very easy to get a gun, which is something that I do want to crack down on. It should be way harder for people like this to own a gun, and decently difficult for regular people to have to purchase a gun. Now, you say, okay, you want gun reform. What does that mean? What would what reforms do you want? Well, right here is what I want, or most of these is what I want. One of them I kind of disagree with. It remains to be seen how lawmakers will act in the wake of last week's tragedy, but for now, Republican state leaders are signaling they will reject stricter gun control. Of course, they're just not going to do anything. And okay, if you're a Republican or conservative and you don't want to be stricter gun controls, why? Your side is the side of think of the children. We must go out there and protect the children. Children are being hurt by people getting guns way too easily in this country, and it's not gonna stop unless we do something about it. If we just forget about it, hopes and prayers, and that's it. This what happened in Uvalde is not gonna stop happening. We need to do something about this because more innocent people will end up dying if we don't do anything about it. So, to you, please, you're still gonna be able to keep your guns. It just will be more. It just be harder for you to get a gun. You're still gonna be able to get one. Just gonna be a bit more difficult, and hopefully that would lower the amount of innocent children and innocent people dying in the hands of these insane people. So Texas Democrats, on the other, okay, and also measures once again, and instead try to steer the conversation toward offering mental health resources, which of course, like Republicans don't really care about that at all. What I've seen, I wish they did, but that's they're just moving the goalposts and they don't really care about that. And arming teachers. Now again with Republicans, I thought you thought teachers were all groomers and indoctrinators, indoctrinating your kids to be gay and and being trans. But then you want to arm these teachers? I disagree with this because I don't think it's the teacher's job to know how to hold a weapon and shoot at another person, potentially kill another person, and have that in their mental state for the rest of their life, because that could actually harm the teachers and their minds. I'd rather have restrictor gun control so it wouldn't ever have to go down to that situation there. So that's why I very disagree with our arming teachers. Texas Democrats, on the other hand, have already called for a special session to pass sweeping gun reform, which would include raising the minimum age to purchase a gun from 18 to 21, which I agree with. I do like this. Requiring universal background checks for all firearm sales. Now, this is something I really like. I really, really like this. I think this is the best one. If you don't get any of this, I would rather just get. If you only get one of these, I would much rather get this. Implementing red flag laws to allow the temporary removal of firearms from those who pose imminent danger, requiring a waiting period after purchasing a gun. Okay, That's different. Red flag laws to allow temporary removal of firearms for those who pose imminent danger. I don't know how to feel about this one. I'm not too sure. I could see this be like, I understand why people would be like little like upset if this law, the red flag law, would be passed. I don't know about this one. This one I'm a little mixed on because I do think we should, if you are shown to not be in the right mental state and shown to uh, be a danger to people around you and you have a gun, I do think uh, we should be able to take the guns away from you from that point so you wouldn't harm anybody else. But also at the same time, it could be used like in bad situations where they want to take a gun away from a person who is in the right mental state and hasn't done really anything wrong. It could be used for that. I'm not sure. That's why I'm a little iffy about this law specifically right here. This is the one where I'm the most iffy on. Requiring a waiting period after purchasing a gun and regulating. I guess maybe I think that would be fine. I guess just a waiting period, just wait a little bit longer. You're still gonna get the things you want. And regulating civilian ownership of high capacity magazines. Um, sure. I guess I don't know. I don't know about this one either. But I think it should be fine. You're still gonna get magazines and stuff, but just high capacity. So most of these I like, especially the requiring universal background checks for all firearm sales. But also, this is something I thought up. I don't know how you implement this, and I don't know how well this is gonna be. But this is some from somebody who is very young, who doesn't really know that much, and just giving my opinion out there. Like including for you, you know how you have to make get test and get tested to drive and and get your driver's license. I don't know how guns work, but and if you need like I know you need like a gun license or something like that, but you should have like a psychological test as well. But I don't know if that could be like easily like duped because you can just look up online and see like all the right questions to the right answers to those questions. But maybe implementing something like that I would really like. So yeah, when it comes to this gun ownership, I think it should be like a universal thing that people should just yeah, people should just know that this is that this country needs to change on its gun reform, how they think guns. It's too easy to get guns in the country. You still be able to own guns and have guns, but we should make it just a bit more difficult for people to get guns. That's something I very much agree with, and something that I do think would not overall get rid of like mass shootings because they can like get it some other time, like like they can get it from their dad or something. A dad like bought a gun, and they can unlock the safe where the gun's at, or just grab the gun when they know it's there and like go shoot up a place. But I would say it would at least dent it a little bit. It's better than just having nothing. So when it comes to this, pro gun regulation. That's what I am. At least for for a little bit. Now, this is the main thing I want to talk about is the police and how the police has handled this situation. Now, if you haven't heard, probably a lot of people have heard this. Police, and it is my opinion too, handled this situation horrendously. I think the main police chief who told the regular police officers to not go in to the school, which I do think he should be fired and replaced with somebody who knows how to do their job way better than him. And yeah, that's like the first step. But I do want to read this timeline, at least a little bit of it, just for you guys to know how incompetent the police were on handling the situation. So 11:33 a.m., the shooter enters the school and begins shooting into a classroom, which is connected to second class. He shot at least 100 rounds, McCraw says. 11:35 a.m., three Uvalde Police Department officers entered the same door as the suspect. Another three Uvalde police officers and a county sheriff follow, McCraw said, for a total of 7 officers on the scene. The 3 initial officers went directly to the class door, which was closed, and received 2 grazing wounds from McCraw said. At 11:37 a.m., another 16 rounds was fired in the following minutes. At 11:42 a.m., a source close to the teacher received text saying there was an active shooter on campus. CNN saw the text change and confirmed the timestamp. 11:43 a.m., Rob Elementary announces on Facebook it is under a lockdown status due to gunshots in the area, adding that the students and staff are safe in the building. Roughly 11:44 a.m., officers are calling for additional resources, equipment, body armor, negotiators, and evacuating students and teachers, Escalon said Thursday. At 11:51 a.m., more officers arrive on the scene, McCraw said. At 12:03 p.m., officers continue to arrive in the hallway of the school. There's as many as 19 officers at the time in the hallway, McCraw said. At 12:03 p.m., mind you, the shooter is still alive here. I think he is shooting children as well. A young girl from inside one of the adjoining classrooms calls 911, identifies herself, and whispers in the classroom she is in. The call lasted a minute and 23 seconds. She calls back several minutes later and says multiple people are dead. 12:10 p.m., first group of deputy U.S. Marshals arrive on the scene to assist. Federal, state, and local law enforcement are already on the scene. The Marshal Service said in a statement. At 13 p.m., the girl calls 911 again, McCraw says. 12:15 p.m., members of the Border Patrol Tactical Unit, BORTAC, arrive on the scene, McCraw said. When Border Patrol agents begin to arrive, the officer in charge of the situation had already made determination that it was a barricaded subject situation. A source familiar with the situation said the team then waited, not breaching the classroom where the shooters hold up. Nearly 40 minutes later, McCraw said the person who made a decision was the school district police chief. He should be fired right now, calling it the wrong decision not to engage the gunman sooner. Even they say that they handled the situation poorly. 12:17 p.m., Robb Elementary announces on Facebook there was an active shooter on the school and authorities are at the scene. 12:16 p.m., the girl calls 911 again and tells dispatchers there are 8 to 9 students alive, McCraw said. 12:19, another person calls 911 from one of the two classrooms and hangs up when another student tells her to, McCraw said. 12:21 p.m., the suspect fired again. He was believed to be at the door, McCraw said. Law enforcement moved down the hallway. 12:21 p.m., 3 shots fired are heard from another 911 call made. 12:36 p.m., the initial student who called 911 calls again and is told to be very quiet and tells the dispatcher he shot at the door, McCraw said. The call lasted 21 seconds. 12:43 p.m., the young girl asks dispatchers to please send the police now. 12:47 p.m., the students asked police again. They had to ask multiple times. Imagine being in that situation. You by yourself with other students, knowing there's a active shooter like right next to you, super close to you, and knowing that the police are outside and asking the police multiple times to come in and save you. That's insane to me. McCraw said a minute earlier, she had said she could hear the police next door. At 12:50 p.m., law enforcement breached the locked classroom door using keys from a janitor, McCraw said. They shot and killed the suspect. Border Patrol actually shot and killed the suspect. It wasn't the police. 12:51 p.m., through the young girl's 911 calls, there are loud noises and officers can be heard moving children out of the room, McCraw said. The child goes outside and the call is cut off. The suspect purchased and had a total ammunition at the... So, like you see there, they took way too long to go in and save the people on the scene. And now, later on, it showed that police are actually no, they're not they actually lied to the press early on, and since they know that they lied, and people know that they lied, they switched up their reports. Texas Department of Public Safety, or DPS, now says that the door the shooter used to access Robb Elementary School was closed, though not locked, when entering before killing 21 people there. That's a change from last week when DPS Director Cole Stephen McCraw said a teacher had propped the back door open and left it that way. So they were ready, and they were just blaming it on a teacher, on why the suspect got in. Not the suspect, the shooter got in. On Tuesday, department spokesperson Travis Considine told the Associated Press the teacher did prop the door open but closed it once she realized the shooter was on campus and the door did not lock, sadly. The department press secretary confirmed Tuesday to CNN the AP report was accurate. I'm just like, why did they lie about this? Why did they just blame it on a teacher saying that the door was left was just straight up open? Unless the shooter when he went in, he left it open. That's like the only way I can see it. And now let's talk about this situation right here about the onlookers who are the parents of the students and the children that are inside the school. When police refused to go inside the school and save the children and shoot or apprehend the suspect, they were actually, instead of doing that, they were actually arguing with the parents of the students and the children. Now the parents at first were just urging police to charge into the school, which is, if you do not know, is actually how they train to handle mass shootings. Because 2 months before Tuesday's mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas, that left 19 children and 2 adults dead, the Uvalde School District hosted an all-day training session for local police and other school-based law enforcement officers focused on active shooter response. First responders to the active shooter scene will usually be required to place themselves in harm's way, according to a lengthy course description posted online by the Texas agency that developed the training. Time is the number one enemy during active shooter responses. The best hope that innocent victims have is the officer immediately moves into the action to isolate, distract, or neutralize the threat, even if that means one officer acting alone. So, police are trained to just rush in, fuck everybody else, and go in and apprehend, distract, or neutralize the shooter, which they refused to do, and is what the parents were pleading and begging the police officers to do. Now, so instead of doing that, they're arguing with the parents, and threatening the parents by tasing them. Now, here's one thing I do agree with the police, and something that I did like the police to do, and some left-leaning people kind of, like other left-leaning people kind of not rightfully condemning police for doing this, but the parents wanted to charge in to the school, all of them, to get their own children out, but the police wouldn't let them. That's something I do agree with, because that could lead to multiple bad situations happening. The parent could go in, immediately get killed, or the parent could start like shouting out, and like a kid would come out of their hiding place, and the shooter would look at the kid and kill the kid and then kill the parent. It could lead to a lot of bad situations happening. So that's something I don't really blame the police of doing. I do blame them for being fucking cowards and not going in there and apprehending the shooter. So that is something I wanted to talk about for a bit, because a lot of people were talking about that. And now, since the police chief, Peter Arredondo, he's the person that told the other police officers to not rush in to save the children. He said that, well, he didn't say that. He's actually stopped cooperating with Texas authorities. So, new question emerging about Uvalde School Police Chief Peter Arredondo. A week after a gunman massacred 19 fourth graders and 2 teachers at Robb Elementary, in a statement to CBS News Tuesday, the Texas Department of Public Safety said that the Uvalde Police Department and Uvalde School District Police have been cooperating with investigators. The chief of the Uvalde Police provided an initial interview, but has not responded to a request for a follow-up interview with Texas Rangers that was made 2 days ago. However, in a statement to CNN on Wednesday, Arredondo said he is in touch with DPS every day. So, it was Arredondo who ordered officers to remain outside the classroom where the gunman was holed up during the siege. Questions are being asked about why Arredondo was in position to make the decision and why he chose what he did. So there you go. Agents from U.S. Customs and Border Patrol ultimately breached the classroom area and fatally shot the suspect more than an hour after the school shooter entered the building. So, again, it wasn't even the police that stopped the shooter. It was U.S. Customs and Border Patrol that stopped the shooter. Now, there's a couple things also I wanted to address here. There's one that says that the teacher, not the teachers, but the police rushed in and they actually grabbed their own children and immediately left after their children was safe. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. I actually I tried to look it up and I couldn't find it on if to see if that's true or not. So it is up in the air right now if that is true. From what I know, I could be wrong, but if it is true, if it's not, then just ignore it. But if it is true, that is such a selfish and horrendous thing for those cops to do. Again, they're trained to go in and immediately apprehend the suspect. That's the shooter. I keep calling him suspect for some reason, but the shooter immediately, and ignore everything else. Get the shooter, so the shooter doesn't have any time to hurt anybody else. And again, it's just if that is true, it shows that police just do not give a fuck about anybody. They only care about themselves and what hurts themselves and shit like that. Which is, a little weird talking about police like that when like their main thing that's plastered on the main quote people remember of police, and it's sometimes on their cars as well. It's to protect and serve. But it seems like they're only protecting and serving themselves in this situation right here. So yeah, again, another thing. The good guy with the gun, bad guy with the gun. Of course, it just shows that in this situation right here that good guys with guns just do not stop bad guys with guns unless you're gonna say that the police in this situation are not good guys, which is something I do agree with you, but it's weird how if you're a conservative and you say that, because mostly conservatives are the ones that say good guys with the guns beat bad guys with guns. So of course, there you go. This situation has shown that excuse does not hold up anymore, and we actually need to do some gun reform in this country. So that's like the main stuff I want to talk about, was just police horrendous. We need gun reform in this country. And yeah, I do want to talk about two more things, just about how left-leaning people and how right-leaning people are talking about this situation. Now, I got one left-leaning person, which I disagree, and I do want to criticize them for what they're saying, and I'm criticizing them because hopefully it will show that other left-leaning people do not go the route of what this person said. And I want to talk about right-leaning people and their response to this. I think their response is like the worst shit in this situation. But this guy, Cruella DeVille, the Rick Lewis, I never heard of this person, but this got 13,000 likes, 13K likes. And this says, the father of one of the victims from the Texas shooting was pro-gun and literally championed Kyle Rittenhouse on Facebook. So this guy right here, 2020 fuck around and find out champion. And yeah. Now, when it comes to left-leaning people, I can see charity. I can give this some charity, saying that this guy, it's so, even the charity even comes off really bad, saying like people who are pro-gun, or if you're like pro-gun, you need to like see how this can affect you, and like how it affects other people who are also not pro-gun. This is what I'm seeing, but this is not the right way to go about it, and this is like a horrible tweet, and it should not have the likes that it should be. It should condemn people who act like this. Just really bad. Like, come on, guy. His daughter just died. You don't have to make this about him liking Kyle Rittenhouse, and it just makes the left look horrible. So that's what I want to talk about here. And then I do want to talk about this. Ted Cruz came out and talked about the situation right here. And what he said just kind of blows my mind. No, I'm shocked, but I'm not surprised what he said, because Ted Cruz is a fucking idiot. And let's just hear what he has to say about the situation.
This is more about society. It's God and video games.
Tragedies like the events of this week are a mirror, forcing us to ask hard questions, demanding that we see where our culture is failing. looking at broken families, absent fathers, declining church attendance, social media bullying, violent online content, desensitizing the act of murder in video games, chronic isolation.
And while outside of that,
dumb fucks applauding. But okay, let's go back and let me actually like point out pretty fatal flaws into his argument here, which anybody who has any like common sense or anybody who has more than 2 brain cells would realize just how dumb fuck his arguments are here.
this is more about society. It's God and video games.
Tragedies like the events of this week are a mirror, forcing us to ask hard questions, demanding that we see where our culture is failing. Look,
It's weird because he kind of sits makes a looks like he's gonna make a decent argument here. Of course, it's Ted Cruz, so I was like, nah, he's gonna turn it to like something bad. But about talking about how like the culture, like our culture, is like not really that well. I kind of agree with that, but not like what he says right here. Our gun culture is not like that good. We need like. Of course, we need to add more gun regulation here, and like, but of course, our gun culture would not allow that to happen.
looking at broken families, absent fathers.
Okay, from what I know, the shooter. Okay, I need to know this. Here, he had a dad in his life. The father of the 18-year-old gunman who killed 21 people in an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, this week wants the world to know he is sorry. In an interview with Daily Beast on Thursday, Salvador Ramos, I just wanted people to know I'm sorry, man, for what my son did. I never expected my son to do something like that, Ramos said. 42, he should have just killed me, instead of doing something like that to someone. His son, also called Salvador, shot his grandmother face on Tuesday. Okay, I just want to see his relationship with his dad. Yeah, I'm not gonna see it. Okay. Porsche's girlfriend house east of the Uvalde, who had been living there for several years. The house, the bushes outside their door, with blue. Okay, at times, thus focus Texas broke into tears. The tears of the son were horrifying. Okay, so from what I know, he had his dad in his life. Of course, his mom and his dad were divorced, but that doesn't mean he came from like a broken family, So. What does broken families and absentee fathers have to do with this?
Declining church attendance,
Declining church attendance, that has nothing to do if you're gonna shoot up a fucking school. What?
social media bullying, violent online content.
Social media bullying, because I can say that he was right there, because from what we know, his motive to shoot up the school was because he was bullied. So he could have a point right there.
Desensitizing, social media bullying, violent online content.
Violent online content does not make you a shooter, so he's just insane.
Desensitizing the act of murder in video games.
Now, of course, I would like to talk about gamers. I'm a gamer here, and right after this, I am going to play a video game, okay? So, talking about gamers, a lot of gamers, since Gamergate, have become conservative, like pretty right-wing people, and like they mostly vote for Republicans. I'd like to ask you why. Do you hate minorities and hate like women more than you like love video games? Because the right and conservatives and Republicans are always the people that say video games are the problem. We need to get rid of video games, and also talking about like other media, like he says. So I don't understand why if you're a gamer, you would vote Republican, because it just harms you. There's nothing good that comes from it. But of course, he's half right here. Studies have shown that violent video games does desensitize you from like murder and like violence and shit like that. However, there's no evidence that violent video games would make you a killer, make you like a bad person. None of that. No studies, no data has ever shown that to be happening. So he's making something right and twisting it into saying something that's just demonstrably so wrong.
Chronic isolation.
And while outside of that crowd, you had so many people.
There you go. So yeah, there is that right there. And then want to talk about one more thing, but I go on my Twitter real quick. One more person, one more right leaning person. I just thought this was funny. Um, and I did tweet about this, and this was from the Code of Vets. Now, this person is, I believe, a woman because they had a woman as their icon, and I don't think, yeah, I can't you can't see it, but what she said was that she said that the kid who shot up the school was an illegal immigrant, and she was talking about how since that person was an illegal immigrant, we need to like open our borders and like and get rid of illegal immigrants. When she's completely wrong there. There's a couple things she's wrong. Number one, the person who shot up the school was a citizen. Okay, he was a United States citizen. He was American. Number two, immigrants are actually known. There's sources out there and data that says that immigrants actually commit less crime than the native population there. And three, it just shows that she doesn't know any immigrants in her life because why would an immigrant shoot up a school when they're just happy to be here and working? Okay, and then she gave an apology by saying, in the moment I asked if he crossed the border illegally, given the proximity to border and shot fired by border patrol. When I learned he was a citizen, I posted an update. A border is an issue. Mental health is an issue. My work speaks for itself. So it's not an apology at all. And the only reason why you would think that guy was an illegal immigrant if you're fucking racist and you think all Mexicans are illegal immigrants. So yeah. Um that's it when it comes to this situation. If you guys have any more like talking points that I didn't address here, please comment down in the comments below, and I'll address those because I want to see if those talking points are actually correct or not, because I want to know as much as this as possible since I do really care about the situation. But I just want to talk about this. At the end of the day, more gun reform is what we need, and um and just to know that police in this country are fucking useless, and that needs to something with the police needs to be done. Changes to the police. They just don't care about children dying. So yeah, there's that. All I want to talk about this, and all I want to say to end this off is rest in peace to everybody sadly lost their lives in this, and hopefully America can get its head out of its ass and see that this is an issue, that this is not happening in any other developed country. It's only happening in America, and we need to do something about this. So yeah, if you like the video, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment down below. I'll very, very much appreciate uh stay safe out there. It's we had another shooting, but it was at a supermarket instead. So it seems like nowhere safe now. But yeah, stay safe out there. Stay safe.